Topping today's news, a look back at some of the independence activities over the holiday weekend. King Charles III wishing the Bahamas a happy 50th independence, a family dealing with the loss of a young woman who allegedly took her own life, and two men arraigned for murder and attempted murder at a pool party last Sunday. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jcn Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It's a pleasure to have you join us. In a charge to Bahamians on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of independence for the Bahamas, Prime Minister Philip Davis, during his address at the celebration on Clifford Park, reflected on that night 50 years ago when the Bahamas first gained its independence, pledging to be different, set apart from the rest of the world.
In just a few short hours, come midnight, our Bahamian flag will be raised once again. It will be an echo of that moment 50 years ago on July 10th, 1973, which marked the birth of our nation. It was and is a moment of awe, one which has delivered a birthright, which the world now marks by the manner of our bearing. On that night, as the flag slowly ascended, with it were raised the hopes and aspirations of the Bahamian people, to carve out our own identity, to make our own way, to seek to build the best little country in the world. And we seized that charge. We set about building this nation. We gave it a new name. We created a new flag, a new coat of arms, and claimed for ourselves a national fish and tree and bird and flower.
As the thousands of patriotic Bahamians and visitors listened with complete pride and anticipation, Prime Minister Davis reminded the nation of the true meaning of independence.
Independence was and is a state of mind, an attitude, a conviction that we will faithfully discharge the weighty responsibilities of sovereignty and self-determination. Independence was the first big step on the long journey that continues to take our nation forward and upward. These past months, we have looked back with gratitude and pride, reminding ourselves of how we got here. With Celine Oscar Pinling and Arthur Dion Hanna, let the names of the many, many great women and men who built the foundation of our Bahamas forever ring loudly in the hearts and minds of the Bahamian people everywhere.
Prime Minister Davis reaffirmed and recommitted to the oaths and promises made to Bahamians when he took office as Prime Minister.
My brothers and sisters, at this moment in history, I'm humbled to serve as your Prime Minister. And so tonight, on this 50th anniversary, I solemnly reaffirm and recommit to the oaths and promises I made to you when I accepted the instruments of office. I will continue to serve faithfully in all that I'm called to do. Tonight, as our flag is once again raised to proclaim our independent Bahamas, I invite each of you to also reaffirm and recommit to being your best selves, to do all that you can to make our Bahamas better. Together, we will move closer to that promised land. As we gaze out at the horizon, looking towards the next 50 years, let us be spurred on by the light and the heat of the rising sun. Stand up, step up, rise up, and do all that you can for our Bahamas. Divided we may fall, but together we can achieve greatness.
Echoing the words of our forefathers, quoting the words of Timothy Gibson, Prime Minister Davis charged all Bahamians at large to continue marching upwards and onwards together. A grand celebration over the weekend leading up to the country's 50th anniversary of independence. Bahamians from all walks of life participated in several events during the weekend, which marked the 50th year of being an independent nation. On Friday night, by invitation only, the festivities began with the Prime Minister's Legacy Ball at the Atlantis on Paradise Island. On Saturday, the opening of the Bahamas Games, followed by a golden soiree. On Sunday, Houses of worship across the country were invited to send up a sound of jubilee during worship service. Sunday evening, Bahamians gathered by the thousands on Clifford Park for a cultural explosion, which included a military tattoo and ecumenical service and a beautiful fireworks as well. The night was capped off again with the flag raising and a spectacular fireworks show. Early Monday morning, Bahamians gathered on Bay Street for the People's Junkanoo Rush Out. Independence Day ended with an Independent State reception on the lower grounds of Government House on Monday night. More than 2,000 people gathered at the Government House. Governor General Sir Cornelius A. Smith, his wife, Lady Clara, Prime Minister Davis, and his wife, along with Opposition Leader Michael Pintard, ceremoniously cut the 50th Independence cake. Some 250 Bahamians named to the National Honors List for their exemplary service to the Bahamas. Add to that, 2 foreign nationals also now have their name etched in Bahamian history. The Independence National Honors, announced annually, are especially important this year as it marks the 50th year that the Bahamas has been a Commonwealth nation. On Monday, Independence Day, the Office of the Governor General announced the honors, and topping the list was Dame Doris Johnson, posthumously awarded the Order of National Hero. She was the first female to contest an election in the Bahamas and the first female to be elected as President of the Senate. Other honorees include the honor of the Bahamas Companion to Mrs. Eileen Depuch Karen and Catholic Archbishop Patrick Pinder. Order of the Bahamas Member to Edward Clement Bethel posthumously, and Senior Justice Bernard Turner. Order of Distinction Brenzel Roll and Commodore Clifford Butch Scavala out of Eleuthera. Rwandan President Paul Kagame and United States Congresswoman Maxine Waters both receiving the Order of Excellence. As Bahamians around the world celebrate the 50th independence of the Bahamas, there were also other nations that are friendly with the Bahamas, also wishing the country a happy independence. At the top of the list, His Majesty King Charles III, who sent a nearly 5-minute-long greeting to the people of the Bahamas as he remembered his time spent in the Bahamas, especially back in 1973.
The Bahamas has always held a special place in my affections. I remember with great fondness my visit in July 1973, when serving in the Royal Navy in HMS Minerva, to attend the Independence Day celebrations. I particularly recall the police band first playing March on Bahamaland, the first moment the flag of black, aquamarine and gold was raised, and no fewer than 3 independence balls when I danced at the first one with the wife of the then Prime Minister, now of course Dame Marguerite Pindling. The people of the Bahamas have always given such a warm welcome to my family and myself, and I know that my mother, the late Queen, and my late father retained equally happy memories of their 5 visits to the Bahamas between 1966 and 1994.
King Charles went on to say that he is most grateful for the warm welcome that the Bahamas gave the Prince and Princess of Wales when they visited last year, and the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh this spring. He says the Bahamas has always felt like a home away from home for him. He goes on to speak about the Bahamas' resiliency in the face of a number of challenges, especially related to global warming. King Charles says the Bahamas also has much to be proud of after just 50 years.
Throughout the last 50 years, there are so many stories to celebrate of Bahamian leadership on the global stage, of sports stars, playwrights, Olympians, chefs, authors, business leaders, film stars, musicians, artists, inventors and designers. You can all be enormously proud of what has been achieved. And of special importance to me, throughout the past 50 years, the Bahamas has been an indispensable member of our Commonwealth family. I felt it of great importance that my family play a part in your anniversary year, and that is why I hope to be able to celebrate with you as soon as possible, and to meet some of the many Bahamians who are already shaping the next 50 years.
With those words from King Charles, many Bahamians have already begun to speculate of a possible future visit by His Majesty, who also said during his greetings that he hopes Dame Marguerite Pendling will save her next dance for him. A young woman is dead this evening following an alleged suicide, according to Police Press Liaison Officer Chief Superintendent Chrislyn Skippings. Chief Superintendent Skippings, in an afternoon report, says the 18-year-old was found hanging inside the closet of her home in southwestern New Providence. Preliminary reports indicating that around 4:30 on Tuesday morning, family members discovered the female with an electrical cord around her neck. Police are investigating and are appealing to members of the public who may be struggling with unresolved issues, emotional, financial, or mental stress, feeling those experiences. They want you to contact the Police Community Counseling and Assessment Unit at 323-3293, 323-3293. Additionally, you can reach out to the nearest police station or any urban renewal center for comfort and guidance. Two men charged with murder and attempted murder. They had their time in court today. 24-year-old Marquin Williams, 21-year-old Randy Mackey, both stood before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt, charged with murder, the murder of Garth Pyfrom. Pyfrom's bullet-riddled body was found in a bushy area off Marshall Road on Sunday, July 2nd, where he was attending a pool party. Williams was also charged with the attempted murder of two off-duty police officers, Police Constable 3767 Shaquille Sweeting and Police Constable 4548 Rashad Roll, on the same night at the same location. Both men, Williams and Mackey, were not required to enter a plea due to the nature of the offense. They were remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections until they returned to court on the 10th of October for the service of a voluntary bill of indictment. And finally, in this segment, a 50-year-old male that police were searching for in connection with burglarizing a home and sexually assaulting a 82-year-old woman is now in police custody. Sometime around 1:30 a.m. on Tuesday, the elderly woman who was asleep in her home off Wolf Road was awakened by the suspect and subsequently sexually assaulted. Police say the suspect, who has been in custody several times for similar offenses, was arrested around 1 p.m. today in the area of Mount Tabor Estates. That's in the southwestern area of New Providence. He was arrested by officers from the Criminal Investigations Department, CID. Police are investigating this incident and appealing to members of the public, especially those of you who have elderly females living alone, to ensure that their homes are well secured and outfitted with durable locks and bolts to prevent these types of incidents occurring. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.